seconds here.
Can I maybe explain a little bit of what's going on and why we're getting this quote? In October, we had a couple of coliform hits, which again is coliform is in the air that you breathe. We did have some subsequent ones that were not a problem. So we do believe we have, in my estimation, a low-level problem that's intermittent. And I decided before we had that last big snowstorm to climb the tower to take a look up and see what was going on up there to see if there's anything that could have gotten into the reservoir up there. Because when we take these samples, we take one sample a month, and then if there's a problem, we take repeat samples, which is what we did. Some of the original came back fine. A couple of repeats came back not so good. So I climbed the tower before the last snowstorm and found that there's a window. It's like a window mesh screen. It's a small mesh screen like you'd use on your window that goes over the reservoir vent, and it had been zip tied together, and those zip ties had rotted off, and so part of it had been exposed. And I think as a part of that process, it wasn't a very wide gap, maybe a half inch, but I think there's some flies that got in there. And when I opened up the reservoir hatch, I looked down into the reservoir, and as the reservoir fills up, there's a certain amount of space that it goes up and down on in the reservoir. For instance, in our reservoir, it's between 23 and 28 feet. And in that, on the side walls and on the supports in the middle, there's almost like a scum line in there. There were some flies in there. So this is something where we need to have cleaned. I believe that may be the source of our problem. And when we did this before, we did this with the drones, the remote operated vehicles where you go around and clean the tank. But this is above the water line in many spots. So we need to get actual divers in there with a crew to be able to clean that appropriately and get that out of there.
Bob, so is this the big tank?
Yes, this is the big tank. Okay. Right. And so if has everybody had a chance to pull up the quote in their email at all?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have it, and if I try to pull it up, I'm going to lose you guys. So tell me what it is.
Colleen, it's $5,550 to remove the residue from walls.
We can see that, Colleen, but yeah.
And
thank you, Cal. That's great.
But
you got to put it up.
Are we going to have to drain the tank to do that, Bob?
No, we won't have to drain the tank to do that. They will have, the divers will be in hazmat suits, and they'll be sprayed down with 100 parts per million of chlorine on the suits, so should be fine doing that. They're used to doing this kind of thing in live situations. It was just easier when we didn't have to do it with having a diver in there. It cost us a lot less money, but now we have to have the climbing crew. There's a lift truck that gets equipment up there and things like that, so there's a lot more involved.
Where does the residue go?
I'm going to guess most likely they vacuum it out. Typically when the divers go in there, they'll go in there with a vacuum, or they'll get it to the surface and vacuum it out. What we'll do, though, is after they're done, we will, and I should have mentioned this earlier, we are chlorinating well number 7 and only operating well number 7 so we can get chlorine into the reservoir, and we will continue to do so after it's done to make sure it's okay. Now, I was expecting, depending on how long this meeting was going to go, results from the lab could come at any moment now, and I would anticipate that it shows that our follow-up samples is fine, because I've added chlorine, but I added it to the point where I didn't want to shock the system and just everybody be upset about what's all this chlorine, yet at the same time, it was hard to monitor what's going in because we don't have anything at the tower we can reliably take a sample from to check our chlorine. And the nearest home, which is just outside the park, the only faucet that works outside is right by their front entrance, and I didn't want to put ice on there. So I've been gradually putting chlorine in for the last week, 10 days or so, monitoring it to making sure we have a good residual in there. And that's why I'm anticipating that the sample. No, that's not. He sent me the wrong. I got a sample from the lab, but it's another system. Anyway, it might be coming in any moment now. I'm anticipating it should be fine. And again, it's a very low level, much less than even what we have out at Cape Horn Estates, because I simply feel it's a low level problem.
Is this a normal price, Bob? Is this kind of comparative, or?
Well, actually, it's probably better. You try to get somebody out of state in for that price is going to be pretty difficult.
Oh, okay.
Most of the other diving crews are from Oregon, Montana, Colorado, North Dakota to do this kind of thing.
I believe this guy's from Hayden, correct?
Yeah, you're from Hayden. The other ones, they organize schedules in the summer to come around. So to get them to come out for one like this would be quite a bit more.
So what is the total? There was the 50, 550, 1,500, and then there was another one.
No,
What
there's
was it?
The total is
00. So the total was $7,050.
Well,
That's an estimate.
this could also probably.
Go ahead, Larry. I didn't hear what you said.
I said this could probably be covered under a bond because
That's
it's
what I was thinking. Yeah.
Yeah,
part of the rehab of the tank.
Yeah.
I think you're right. Regardless, we have to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can't let anything like that go.
My
It would be
intention would
nice.
to get it done, chlorinated a little longer, follow up with tests, and then once they passed, take it off, the chlorine off like we normally are for Bayview, and then follow up with more tests to make sure nothing has come back.
That it's,
Kind of a step-by-step process.
and then does this include repairing that mesh screen and all of that? So that's not going to happen again?
Yeah, well, actually, I've got the parts. I can do that myself. It's just a matter. They used zip ties. I've got some big, giant 6-inch hose clamps that can go around there to take care of that.
Okay.
Okay, so we're not going to have that again. Okay.
And do the divers know not to pee in the pool?
Yes, they won't do anything you wouldn't do.
Yeah, urine is 90% water, so it doesn't matter. So do we make a motion?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess we make,
I'll make a motion to approve the, let's see, who is it? Aquadrome Marine Services to
Aquadrome Marine,
yeah,
Aquadrome, yeah, okay.
do the repairs to clean up.
In the amount of 7,000.
Yeah, in the amount of 7,000.
I'll second it.
Second it. Any more discussion then?
Nope.
Okay, all in favor?
I
Aye.
Okay.
Hey, Cal, before we go, I just want to ask a question.